Good evening and welcome to our weekly Parsha. Again, I want to thank Chanoch Aryeh for coming to the house, setting up the camera, and posting these videos. I want to share this evening with you an idea and a thought that I've said many times in the shul, but this year, like all things that grow and are alive, I have a new twist on it. It means something different to me than it has meant before, and I want to share that with you. This week's Parsha is Parshas Truma, where the Torah introduces us to the mitzvah given to the Bnei Yisrael in the Midbar of creating the Mishkan, which eventually would become the Beis Hamikdash, and it went through so many different phases, Neivin Givain and Shiloi, and eventually the Beis Hamikdash that Shlomo Melech built on the piece of land that David HaMelech purchased. But it all starts here with the Mishkan. And for the Mishkan, there is very elaborate details into all of the material that's needed to build it, all of the measurements, all of the particulars. In Parshas Truma, it's about the vessels that were used in the Mikdash, like the Aron, the Mizbeach, the Menorah, and on, the Krushim, the curtains. And then in Parshas Tetzaveh, it's about the big day, the begadim, the clothing which were worn by the Kohen. And there's an interesting medrash in the beginning of the parsha. The medrash says, when the Rabbeinu Shalom said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Daber el b'nei Yisrael, tell the Jewish people, vayikhu li truma, they should take for me these truma, these donations that they will give. And he gave them the tzivui, the mitzvah of creating the Mishkan. Moshe's response to that and said back to the Rabbeinu Shalom, V'chi efshe lohem. Moshe was flabbergasted. Can they do this? You're giving them a mitzvah to do? And I'm asking you, are they capable of getting this done? I'm reading you the Medrash. Amal upon the Rabbeinu Shalom, Yechaylim hein Yisrael la'asaysay, can they do it? To which the Rabbeinu Shalom emphatically said to Moshe Rabbeinu, absolutely. Absolutely, they can do it. Right? May ace kolish yadvenu liboy, they can do it. And in fact, the Medrash goes on to say that Amru Rabbanan, the Rabbanan commented on this, and they said, Af b'mon, on a daily basis, when the man would fall, not only would the man come, but precious stones and material that was needed to build the Mishkan fell with the man. So let's think about this. What was Moshe's hesitancy? Why did Moshe question Klal Yisrael's ability? It seems to be that he was questioning their financial capacity. Do they have the money to do this? Look at it. Zav, Kesef, Nechoshes, right? Why do I think that? Because at the end, the Medrash says, and the Rabbanan commented that they had all of these precious stones that were needed, the rubies and the diamonds, whatever it was for the Choshen, came with the mun. So that, as if Moshe's questioning, do they have the finances to do it? And the Rebbeinu Shalom says yes, and the Medrash says, Araya, look, it came with the mun. But I want to ask you something. We know that they had the material. It says when they left Mitzrayim, when they left Egypt, they took all of the wealth of Egypt with them, the wealthiest nation in the world. When they crossed the Yam Suf, they picked up even more wealth. 300 laden donkeys for every Jew, full of wealth and material. They had the material. Why would Moshe question, can they do it? And the Rabbeinu Shalom's answer, really the pshat's like this. It wasn't a financial issue. Moshe was saying, Rabbeinu Shalom, you want human beings to create a physical structure which you say is going to be your home in this world? How is it humanly possible for a basar v'dam to take material and somehow imbue it and inspire it and infuse it with a spirituality, with a ruchnius, that this now becomes your Mishkan, the place where your Shechina rests? These Jews who just left Mitzrayim and just got the Torah, they know how to do such a... Where do they have the wherewithal from a spiritual perspective to be able to do this? To which the Rebbeinu Shalom says, you know what, you're right. They probably don't. And I don't ask them to do what they can't do. All I want them to do is be willing. Be willing. And I'll take care of the rest. And that's why the Rebbeinu Shalom says, Afilu echad me Yisrael. Even one Jew on his own can do it. Why? Because all I say is me'es kol ish asher yidvenu libai, whose heart has moved him and who has a desire to do this and refuses to sleep or to rest or to stop until it's done. And I'll do the rest. And the Rabbanan said, they commented and they said, of course, because if you want to do it, miracles will happen to make it. Miracles will occur and let it happen. Because you see, with the man, they didn't have certain precious stones, but they wanted it. So when they got up in the morning, the Yid said, Rebbeinu Shalom, I want to do this. And he went out, and the man was man and a ruby and a diamond. Why? Because he was Yidvenu Libai. There's no task that's insurmountable. Because the truth is, we never do it anyways. All we bring to the table is our desire. I said this part if you come to the shul, you've heard this from me many, many times, and it's based on a Sfas Emes. If you have a chance, you'll take a look in this week's Parsha when he talks about the menorah. But this week, it hit me in a different way. As I was thinking, we don't have a Mishkan anymore, but we all know that we have a Jewish home. And we think sometimes to say, the Jewish home is a Migdash Ma'ad. It takes the place of the Mishkan. The Ramban in the beginning of Sefer Shmos and the Hagdama to Sefer Shmos says it's the other way around, really. The Mishkan was the replica of the Jewish home, which Avram and Sarah and Yitzchak and Rivka and Yaakov and Rachel and Leah and the Emois, each one of them erected a home in where the Shechina, the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was tangible. It gave direction, it gave insight. They felt it. When you walked into Avram Avinu's tent, into his oil, you knew you were in a place where the Shechina was present. And the Ramban says they went into Golus and they lost that. But they recaptured what they had from the Avos by the building of the Mishkan. So the original Mishkan is the Jewish home. All the while that there was a Mishkan, yes, we gathered as a community to make one place. Now that there is no Mishkan, it goes back to what it was then. And you know what? If you'll ask, is it possible to have a home in the world that we live in today, which you can say this is a home where the Shekhinah rests? How do you do that? What are the ingredients? What are the critical pieces that we need to have in our homes that will bring the Shekhinah in? Do we know how to do that? What should you have? What shouldn't you have? What's the proper filter? How much of this? How much of that? What's the recipe? It's so beyond us. And the answer will be the same thing. If we will question, can you have a home in 21st century in the United States of America, which is a beacon of light and hope, and the presence of the Shekhinah is there, that when you walk in, you feel you're in a different world, in a world of spirituality? And the answer is, Me'es kolish asher yidvenu libai. Yes. If there's a ratzon and a desire and an unquenchable thirst to have this, and a refusal to go to bed at night without beseeching the Rebbeinu Shalom to come into my home and feel comfortable in my home. If you can do that, then you can make it happen. Me'es kolish asher yidvenu libai. Thank you for listening.